Most people spend their entire lives chasing a giant net worth number. They imagine that once the number gets big enough, all stress disappears automatically. But money on paper and money hitting your bank account every month are completely different things. My name is Ben, and I explain personal finance using three different versions of myself to show you how different types of people make decisions based on their current financial situation. Broke Ben thinks rich people simply have huge bank accounts and expensive watches. He scrolls through social media and assumes wealth is all about looking successful in public. To him, appearances matter more than actual financial security. Budget Ben understands that income matters more than image. He knows somebody earning steady recurring cash flow can live far more comfortably than someone with expensive assets and crushing debt. Stability matters more than flexing. Baller Ben thinks even deeper about the game. He understands true wealth means owning systems that continue paying you whether you work or not. Time freedom becomes the real goal instead of status symbols. One day, a monthly investment payment arrives directly into an account. No overtime hours created it, no boss approved it. The money simply appeared because assets were working in the background. That moment changes everything psychologically. Suddenly, money stops looking like something earned only through labor. It begins looking like a tool that can eventually reproduce itself. Most people never experience this shift because they stay trapped trading hours for dollars forever. They believe income only comes from physical effort. Passive cash flow sounds fake until it finally happens personally. Broke Ben laughs at investing because the numbers seem too small at first. He wants instant luxury cars and fast results immediately. Slow growth feels boring compared to flashy spending. Budget Ben understands the importance of consistency. He sees investing as building a machine slowly over time. Every contribution becomes another worker generating future income. Baller Ben focuses obsessively on cash flow instead of headlines. He knows $1 million net worth means very little if no cash enters monthly. Predictable income creates actual freedom. Most people think wealth is binary. They imagine you are either broke and working nonstop or fully retired on a beach somewhere. Reality is far more complicated. Between those extremes exists a massive gray zone. Passive income grows slowly while regular employment still pays most bills. This middle phase is where the real transformation happens. Broke Ben hates this phase because results feel invisible early on. He wants immediate proof that his effort matters. Without fast rewards, he loses motivation quickly. Budget Ben understands the gray zone requires patience. He knows financial independence is not a switch that flips overnight. It develops gradually through repeated action. Baller Ben treats the gray zone like training camp. He realizes every small income stream today could become enormous later through reinvestment and compounding. Small beginnings never discourage him. This stage changes how people think about work. Jobs stop feeling like permanent life sentences. Employment becomes a temporary tool used to acquire future-producing assets. The biggest mistake beginners make is obsessing over giant wealth numbers immediately. Looking at multi-million-dollar portfolios from zero feels overwhelming. The size of the mountain scares them before they even start climbing. Instead, successful people focus on smaller milestones. Each level creates a new psychological breakthrough. Momentum grows because progress becomes measurable. The first major milestone is earning $1,000 per month passively. This is the proof of concept stage. Passive income finally becomes real instead of theoretical. For traditional investors, this milestone may require hundreds of thousands invested. Dividend stocks, index funds, and bonds take serious capital to produce meaningful monthly cash flow. The math feels intimidating early on. Other people reach this milestone differently. A YouTube channel, digital product, side business, or rental property can accelerate the process faster. Sweat equity temporarily replaces financial capital. Broke Ben starts side hustles constantly, but quits after 2 weeks. The early income is tiny, so he assumes the effort is pointless. He never stays consistent long enough to see momentum build. Budget Ben treats small earnings seriously from the beginning. Even an extra $50 feels important because it proves the system works. He values evidence over ego. Baller Ben understands the first dollar of passive income is life-changing psychologically. It proves income can exist separately from labor. That realization permanently alters how he sees money. The first $1,000 monthly rarely changes somebody's lifestyle dramatically. Most people still keep their regular jobs. But internally, everything starts shifting. Fear decreases slightly because another stream now exists. Dependence on one paycheck weakens. Confidence begins replacing helplessness. Ironically, the first $1,000 per month is usually the hardest milestone of the entire journey. The effort required feels absurd compared to the rewards received early on. Most people underestimate this phase completely. During the beginning, people work full-time jobs while simultaneously building another income source at night. Sleep decreases. Free time disappears. Results often remain tiny for months. Broke Ben cannot tolerate delayed gratification. After months of effort producing almost nothing, he decides passive income is fake. He returns fully to spending every paycheck. Budget Ben understands invisible progress still matters. He realizes skills, systems, and audiences are quietly compounding behind the scenes. Early growth is often hidden before suddenly accelerating. Many people quit around $400 per month. The workload still feels enormous, while the income feels unimpressive. The effort-to-reward ratio seems completely unfair, but the strange reality is that later months often outperform the earlier months combined. Momentum finally appears after long periods of frustration. The curve suddenly steepens. Baller Ben studies exponential growth carefully. He knows progress rarely looks linear in the beginning. Small systems can explode later once compounding gains enough momentum. The people who eventually succeed are usually not smarter than everyone else. They simply stayed consistent longer than the quitters. Persistence becomes the hidden advantage. The second milestone arrives around $3,500 monthly in passive income. At this level, basic survival expenses become covered without relying completely on employment. Housing, food, and transportation stop feeling terrifying. This milestone creates something incredibly valuable: breathing room. The fear of immediate financial disaster decreases dramatically. Mental energy finally becomes available for bigger opportunities. Broke Ben remains trapped because every expense depends entirely on his next paycheck. Losing his job would immediately create panic. Financial pressure controls his decisions constantly. Budget Ben builds emergency savings and stable investments steadily over time. When problems appear at work, he no longer feels completely powerless. Security creates confidence. Baller Ben sees this milestone as the true beginning of freedom. Once survival no longer dominates decision-making, life changes dramatically. People start taking smarter long-term risks. Ironically, many people earn more money after reaching this stage. Without survival anxiety consuming mental bandwidth, creativity improves. Confidence replaces desperation. Toxic jobs become optional instead of mandatory. Bad bosses lose psychological control over people with financial floors underneath them. Independence changes workplace dynamics immediately. This milestone is not about luxury. It is about reducing fear. The emotional difference between surviving and constantly panicking is enormous. The third milestone sits around $100,000 yearly in passive income. At this stage, investments themselves begin producing shocking amounts of growth automatically. Compounding becomes extremely powerful. A strong market year can add hundreds of thousands of dollars without additional labor. Assets begin working harder than the owner. Money starts multiplying itself aggressively. Broke Ben fantasizes about this level immediately while still avoiding the basics. He dreams about luxury lifestyles before building consistent habits. Fantasy replaces discipline. Budget. Ben stays grounded and focused on practical goals first. He understands survival freedom matters far more initially than luxury upgrades. He refuses to skip steps. Baller Ben views abundance differently than outsiders expect. He values flexibility, time, and optionality more than expensive status purchases. Quiet freedom matters more than public attention. At this level, time and money become completely disconnected. Income continues arriving while traveling, relaxing, or spending time with family. Work becomes a choice instead of a requirement. But this milestone should not become an unhealthy obsession for beginners. Thinking about millions too early often discourages action entirely. The first milestone always matters most. Nobody climbs a mountain by staring endlessly at the summit. They focus on the next few steps directly ahead. Financial independence works the exact same way. The journey from zero to meaningful passive income is almost never linear. For long periods, progress appears painfully slow. Then suddenly everything accelerates. This confuses most beginners because humans expect effort and rewards to grow evenly together. Compounding does not behave that way. It rewards consistency late instead of early. Broke Ben mistakes slow beginnings for failure. Because visible results are delayed, he constantly resets his strategy. Starting over repeatedly destroys momentum. Budget Ben continues contributing even when growth feels boring. He trusts the arithmetic instead of his emotions. Discipline carries him through flat periods. Baller Ben reinvests nearly every early dollar back into assets. Instead of spending passive income immediately, he feeds the machine producing it. Compounding velocity increases dramatically. Eventually, the assets begin contributing alongside his regular income. His salary is no longer working alone. Multiple streams now build wealth simultaneously. This is the hidden secret behind financial independence. The gap between someone earning nothing passively and someone earning thousands monthly is usually persistence, not intelligence. Most people simply quit too early. The inflection point often arrives right after the period when quitting feels most tempting. The people who survive that frustration usually experience explosive progress afterward. Endurance becomes incredibly valuable. Broke Ben keeps chasing appearances and immediate gratification. Budget Ben builds stability patiently over time. Baller Ben understands that true wealth means owning systems that buy back freedom permanently. In the end, the real goal is not impressing strangers online with giant net worth numbers. The goal is creating reliable cash flow that slowly removes fear from your life. Freedom begins the moment money starts working harder than you do. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about how 3 different versions of myself look at these passive income milestones. Remember that you have the majority control over your emotions and decisions when it comes to your finances. Subscribe for more helpful money tips from the Money Faces of Ben.